news with the passing of MK the eagle. Our friends at the Cape Wildlife Center in Barnstable got in an eagle that was very, very sick from rodenticides, and unfortunately that eagle passed. And so I wanted to take the time today. We don't usually show things in our flu room, but I wanted to take the time today to talk about rodenticide and just how prevalent it is. So we see a lot of rodenticide poisoning in our hawks and in our owls, but it doesn't just affect them. So what happens is when you poison mice and rats with anticoagulant rodenticides, those debilitated rodents then go out and they become easy prey for owls, foxes, crows, raccoons, eagles. And so, you know, it's not just the big, the special animals that get impacted. It's basically any animals that will consume them, as well as pets and children. And so there's this secondary poisoning risk that is really, really harmful to our wildlife. And so I'm going to show you just a quick peek. We have a little owl, an Eastern Screech Owl found in Sandwich. And this bird has some neurologic symptoms. You might see that his head he has a little bit of a twitch. And so we're looking at possible head trauma, but also some rodenticide exposure. And the reason that we know these things is because we take blood, we look at anemia, combined with other symptoms. So depending on what types of poisons they've ingested and how much, you know, we look at things, we look for bruising, external bleeding, things like that. When we look at the blood and look at the time it takes for the blood to clot. Because what happens is with these anticoagulant rodenticides, it inhibits the blood's ability to clot, and so these animals bleed out. And there are so many other alternatives to using poisons to control rodents, and we can talk about that. But let's see if we can just get a little peek of the screech owl. The screech owl is in this cage, and this bird is being treated. We are piping oxygen into the kennel. I'm going to try to zoom, see if I can get this to focus. There we go. So this little owl, possible head trauma, it's being treated for head trauma and rodenticide exposure. And the rodenticide exposure is based on the blood's ability to clot, or lack of ability to clot. And also we're seeing anemia in this bird, very, very pale. And so fluids. The owl actually is eating. It's been with us for a few days, and this owl was brought to us from Claudia Travis. She is a rehabber based out of Centerville, and she is the founder of Golden Bough Wildlife, and so I highly recommend that you look her up. And so she stabilized this owl overnight with fluids and pain management. Sorry that it keeps trying to focus. Claudia stabilized this little owl with fluids and pain management overnight and then brought it to us. Hi, Diana. Yes, oh my goodness. We are so honored that people have been sending donations to WildCare in honor of Marla. Marla was such a beautiful, beautiful person, and she is sorely missed by so many people in the community. And I know she loved animals and loved wildlife, so we're incredibly grateful to receive those donations in her memory. So this little owl, you get a little peek. So that owl has begun to eat, had a few days of fluids. The oxygen does help a lot with patients with head trauma, shocky patients. And then what I just need to do is I need to change my glove so that I can peek into this other kennel. Sorry, everyone. One-handed, awkward. Okay, got it. So we're going to try to get a peek at this bird if he's not too upset. I'm going to stand off to the side so he can't actually see me. If the camera would focus, there we go. So this is an adult Cooper's hawk. This bird is rodenticide poisoned. poisoning victim. The bird came into us really, really weak. It was found in Brewster, I believe, on someone's porch. Anemic. Bird's blood usually clots well before 8 minutes. And if it doesn't clot within 8 minutes, combined with other symptoms, that is when we suspect rodenticide poisoning. There. If I hold it against the kennel, then you can see a little better. So this bird is eating. You can see the classic Cooper's hawk, adult Cooper's hawk tail. Beautiful long tail with black bar on the end, followed by little white tips. And it has this beautiful sort of black cap and a red eye. They're stunning bird. This is a bird-eating bird, and these are accipiters. So combined with the sharp-shinned hawk, these are birds that pursue their prey in flight. They have really rapid flight and more pointed wings than other birds of prey, like red-tailed hawks. Not quite as pointed as falcons, but basically these guys can pursue their prey in midair. All right, I don't want to bother them too much, but I feel like it's important. So again, rodenticides are harmful to wildlife. They're harmful to pets and to children that consume them. And we see a lot of rodenticide poisoning. And so we see it largely in hawks and owls, but also pretty much any animal that is going to consume a tainted rodent can be exposed to secondary rodenticide poisoning. And so what are the alternatives? Because we think that poison is never, ever, ever the answer. And so if you have a mouse problem or a rat problem, you should really look into what's called integrated pest management. You need to consider all the factors. Why are these rats and mice attracted to this area? And how can we remove those things? For example, you might need to change your refuse patterns. Make sure your trash is always totally contained and rat and mouse proof. Cut away vines or shrubs that are right near your house that allow rats to climb directly into areas that you're inhabiting. Also, there are many things you can do, especially to keep mice out. You can practice exclusion. Exclusion it takes a lot of work, but it's more effective long term because you're going to find the locations in your home or your garage where mice are getting in, and you're going to exclude the mice. And the best thing that we found is if you can seal in these areas with a really coarse grade wool, steel wool, something like a level 4 where it's really, really prickly. So stuff that into the crevices and then seal that in with a spray foam insulation. Let it dry, and mice don't like that. It tastes bitter, and then if they get through the insulation, then they have all the prickly wool in their steel wool in their mouth, and they don't like that. So exclusion, good refuse management practices. If you have bird feeders, it's a great idea to just make sure you minimize waste. You know, you can take the bird food in at night if you can, or clean up the ground. There are so many things that we can do that are so much less harmful to the environment. And I know, I personally feel that snap traps for rodents are far more humane than poisons. One more thing to consider, if you are using snap traps in the summer, you might be leaving babies behind. We get a lot of mouse pups during the summer because someone has snapped the adult, and they weren't thinking about babies, and then all of a sudden these little babies start rolling out because they're looking for a mom. And so we do get a lot of that, so I ask people to please be careful. And if you do trap and release of rodents on your property, they can only be released back into your yard. In the state of Massachusetts, it's illegal to relocate animals, period, no matter what they are. And so if you're trapping mice in your house and you put them outside, they'll probably come right back in. So you need to also practice some exclusion, like I was mentioning, look for the holes that they're coming through and close those up. And then eliminate food sources and eliminate things that rodents love. I hope this helps. I know it's a lot. And we are going to actually develop a page with all of this information on it that will be on our website soon at wildcareCapeCod.org. So Poison is never the answer. And say a little prayer for these two birds who I hope will make a full recovery from the rodenticide poisoning. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye.